While our
that doesn't mean you can shoot at every ambulance. I'm just trying to get to the heart of this
yes, of course.
question. You said you'd answer it. I mean, there are so many questions here. Why did they hide the bodies? Why did they try to hide the ambulances? These are all questions, by the way, that many international organisations, it's not Hamas I'm echoing here, 2 UK MPs travelling to witness firsthand the situation in the West Bank, refused permission to enter Israel. Journalists who want to go into Gaza to report the situation there, refuse permission into Gaza. Israel does not want to be scrutinised.
This is the only free democracy with press freedom in hundreds of miles in any direction. And listen to me, Mark, there's no point interrupting me. Otherwise, what's the point of this interview?
Well, we're tight for time.
This is an interview with me. Let me give you the answers. And just because you may have succumbed to this woke Islamist ideology, we in here in Israel have not.
That's absolute nonsense. That is nonsense. I'm asking you a question. Why don't we be grown up about this? I'll ask the questions, you answer them.
These 2 members of parliament.
So ordinarily, we would say that what is presented here from Israeli spokesman David Mencer is quite despicable. Despicable when his regime have been caught red-handed, scrupulously burying their murderous evidence. But alas, fate intervenes, literally unearthing an account of the true events. Enough to cast a shadow over the rampant lies, as if this were not a sure-fire sign of an intervention from a higher power from that which they claim to believe. And yet in this interview, even the Sky News anchor has clearly had enough of the deceit, as he outwardly expresses his frustration, leaving the viewer so despondent that they get to counting how many times this reprobate Mencer refers to Hamas. So let's have it.
The Israeli government spokesperson, David Mencer, thanks for being with us. So let's just talk about this, because there's so much wrong, so much disputed here. Why do you not allow an independent investigation into this?
Good evening, Mark. Good to be with you. Let me just start off by saying that Hamas has a long record of misusing ambulances. They don't just hijack ambulances, they actually hijack the very idea of the emergency services and also humanitarian aid. It's not the first time.
I just want to, I accept what you're saying. Let's just concentrate, if we can, on this whole idea of an independent investigation, because your initial story has fallen apart once. It's been shown to be misleading. So I just wonder, why no independent investigation? I know the IDF are investigating, but why no independent investigation? What are you afraid of?
Israel's not afraid of anything. It's not the first time that Hamas has used ambulances to smuggle terrorists. It's a matter of public record. It's been confirmed by Hamas themselves when we've captured them, who told the world that they use ambulances to transport their own terrorists. It's been confirmed repeatedly over the years, not only by Israeli sources, but by Gaza's ambulance drivers themselves, by Gaza's hospital directors, in a statement by President Mahmoud Abbas, no less, by Egyptian news investigators, and by Hamas operatives themselves.
But in this incident,
when we've intercepted
let's just stay with this incident. What evidence do you have that there were 6 Hamas fighters in these ambulances?
So our investigation is taking place right now. It's going to be very thorough. It will be coming out very, very shortly.
His ridiculous investigation won't be worth the bog roll it's written on if this nutter can't even tell the truth now.
We have nothing to hide whatsoever, and the thorough investigation, the results of which should come out very, very shortly. But whatever happens,
can I just ask you another particular question? Do you have evidence that they identified them as Hamas before they opened fire or after they opened fire?
I will answer that question, but I must tell you, firstly, that emergency vehicles should be used to save lives. Hamas has turned them into getaway cars for killers. While our soldiers
doesn't mean you can shoot at every ambulance. I'm just trying to get to the heart of this question. You said you'd answer it. Were they identified as Hamas, these 6 Hamas you've identified? Were they identified before these troops opened fire or after?
So that's why Hamas themselves use ambulances to hide their identity.
Right.
While
So
our
it was
soldiers,
after. So it was after.
No, while our soldiers stake out Hamas terror squads, Hamas hides behind civilians and then cries foul when terrorists are targeted. Let me be clear. This incident happened.
Just let's be clear on
in
this
a war
one.
zone.
Let's just be clear on this
against a
question.
group that
Were they
uses human
identified
shields as a policy.
before? Were they identified before or after?
Among those killed were 6 Hamas terrorists. That is not speculation.
Right.
It is confirmation. The IDF is investigating the incident in Rafah thoroughly, transparently, and in real time. Hamas, on the other hand, investigates nothing, admits nothing, and abuses everything.
Right. But
no army in the world does more to avoid civilian casualties than the IDF.
I would fervently argue that to call David Mencer a liar and a charlatan is not ad hominem, as to have a Rupert Murdoch Sky News presenter turn on you shows that curtain of deception has been thoroughly drawn back. Not that tellingly, this currently makes any major difference to the innocent Palestinian women and children.
And
some other questions. Why did
civilians more than Hamas?
Right. Why did they hide there are so many questions here. Why did they hide the bodies? Why did they try to hide the ambulances? These are all questions, by the way, that many international organizations, it's not Hamas I'm echoing here, it's the UN Secretary General, it's the UN High Commissioner for Human Rights, the head of the UN Humanitarian Affairs Office, Tom Fletcher, it's the Red Cross, numerous governments, all saying it's unacceptable, all calling for an independent inquiry. So why not?
Mark, Israel doesn't fear the truth. That's why we are investigating this incident extremely thoroughly. Can Hamas say the same? Hamas violates every principle of international law. They hide in hospitals, in mosques, in schools, and then they blame us when war crimes blow up in their own faces. So I can tell you again that the IDF soldiers opened fire from a distance at vehicles that were moving suspiciously in their direction. Among the dead were 6 Hamas terrorists, Mark. What were Hamas terrorists doing in an ambulance convoy?
So they were identified as Hamas terrorists after the event. Another question I have.
Well, let me answer that question because that will be dealt with in the results of the investigation, which will be out shortly. This incident was reported in real time to UN officials. The IDF is conducting that investigation into the circumstances of this incident, which took place a couple of weeks ago. But unfortunately, the Hamas terror organization systematically violates international law. They started this war by taking over civilian facilities and infrastructure, including hospitals, schools, and mosques.
Right, you've made that point.
And they are cruelly exploiting and placing their own civilian population at risk.
I'm just trying to get through these questions.
I think by now he's mentioned Hamas over 13 times. Unless complicit, otherwise you don't have to be a genius to work out that their playbook is to kill with impunity, then ball Hamas. It's no wonder the regime and its IDF are not allowing in any third-party scrutiny.
Isn't there a pattern here that your government does not welcome outside scrutiny, hence no independent investigation?
The pattern here is Hamas, which started this war, which won't release our hostages, which won't surrender, which are continuing to subject their own people to act as human shields. We, on the other hand, Israel, are trying our hardest to move civilians out of harm's way in an extremely complex war zone being run by jihadis.
My question was about scrutiny. Let's just have a look. 2 UK MPs travelling to witness firsthand the situation in the West Bank refused permission to enter Israel. Journalists who want to go into Gaza to report the situation there refuse permission into Gaza. Israel does not want to be scrutinized.
This is the only free democracy with press freedom in hundreds of miles in any direction. When you're talking about those members of parliament, Israel has laws. We are run by laws.
But what is the law what is the law that prevents 2 MPs from a friendly democracy coming to see what's going on in Israel? What's the law that prevents that?
I will tell you. I will share that with you. These individuals were working against our state and our citizens because they are promoting calls for its boycott, and they accuse this country with false allegations.
But hang on a second. That's a political. I mean, one had organised a letter calling for a ban on exports from West Bank settlements. Another had been very critical of the blocking of humanitarian aid into Gaza. Are these not legitimate political positions in a democracy?
The legitimate position would be for these two members of parliament to contact the Israeli embassy in London, to say that is the purpose of their visit.
Well,
that
the British
is
government
normal
said...
protocol. That is normal.
Okay.
Listen to me, Mark. There's no point interrupting me. Otherwise, what's the point of this interview?
Well, we're tight for time.
This is an interview with me. Let me give you the answers.
More frustration kicking in on both sides. But what do you expect when you foolishly attempt to get even a smidgen of truth out of war criminals? What Mencer says next to the news anchor is priceless and about sums him and his raucous regime up.
This country is a democracy and we will defend our values. And just because you may have succumbed to this woke Islamist ideology, we in here in Israel have not.
That's absolute nonsense. That is nonsense. I'm asking you a question. Why don't we be grown up about this? I'll ask the questions, you answer them.
These two members of parliament chose not to exercise their right under Israeli law to petition our court to reconsider, which is more than the right which was given to our members of parliament when they tried to visit the UK but were denied entry.
The Secretary General of the UN, Guterres, has just been talking at the UN. He said Gaza is a killing field. The UN capacity to deliver aid in Gaza has been strangled. Israel is not fulfilling its unequivocal obligations as the occupying power under international law. Just finally, your reaction to that.
So it's Hamas that are stealing the aid. 1.8 million tons of aid have gone into Gaza, enough to fill Wembley Stadium 80 times, not just the grass, but to the brim.
But then, just a final point then,
this war is over.
What is the incentive for Hamas to release the hostages? It is the only bargaining power they have now. You're bombing again in Gaza. What is the incentive for them to release the hostages in the current circumstances?
Hamas are a terrorist organization, and this is a democracy led by a prime minister, which literally wrote the book on counterterrorism. Our prime minister is a world expert on counterterrorism.
Right.
So you will excuse me if perhaps bowing to the knowledge of our government when we say that this war will be over when Hamas, who instituted the worst day of Jew killing since the Holocaust, are destroyed, their governing and military capability eviscerated, all of our hostages are released, and finally that Gaza does not become a threat to Israel. And people that care about Gazans should want Hamas to leave the Strip so that a better future can begin for all of the people in this region.
So much to talk about. David Mencer, thank you for coming on.
What a load of absolute bollocks. Leave your thoughts in the comments.